Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be starting a new series called Fighter Breakdowns, where I talk in depth about certain fighters. If you have any requests about fighters you want me to cover in the future, then comment down below and I'll get those breakdowns made for you as quickly as possible. I'm starting the series off with Max Holloway. I've been using him a lot whenever the featherweight division comes up in online ranked, and I feel like I've worked out a couple of different strategies that will help you win fights when you use him. In the video, I'm going to show you highlights of two different ranked fights I had using Max, and I'll talk you through what I was doing and why. Before we get into the gameplay, let's go through the perks that Max has to understand his main strengths. Laser focus and fast hands together basically mean that any punch you throw with him is going to be very fast and very accurate, so you want to focus on using your hands more than kicks when using Max. You've also got Bulldog, which means he blocks more effectively, and Pay to Miss, which makes it a little bit easier to evade strikes with head movement. But these are both only active when you're either standing still or moving forwards. So you're going to want to make sure you're not retreating too much to make use of these perks. You want to walk down your opponent as much as possible. You also have higher altitude, but that's only active in the 3rd, 4th and 5th rounds of a fight. And in ranked, I'm pretty sure you only get 5-round fights from Division 15 onwards. Currently I'm only in Div 12 or 13, so that doesn't really apply much here. Yes, it can help in round 3, but I feel like this perk will make much more of a difference in the championship rounds. Now we're going to get into the first fight I want to show you. I actually lost the first round of this fight because when me and my opponent were standing up, I was rushing in too much and engaging in the pocket. Max has a really big reach advantage over nearly everyone in the featherweight division because of how lanky he is, so you need to use that to your advantage, and in this first round I just wasn't doing that, and as a result I was struggling to convincingly win these exchanges. Now here my opponent gets a takedown on me, but I'm not usually too stressed when I get taken down with Max, because even though his main strengths lie in his stand-up ability, his ground game stats aren't bad at all. All of his grappling stats are in the high 80s or low 90s, so if I have to grapple with my opponent I don't really mind doing that, and I managed to get up pretty quickly anyway. But unfortunately he lands a takedown again after I miss a spinning body kick. That was actually just really lazy from me. I got impatient, I didn't time the strike correctly, and I was made to pay for it. Whenever your opponent picks a fighter like a Sun Sao, you've got to assume that they eventually want to take the fight to the ground, because that's where the fighter's strengths lie. So you can't afford to just whiff on kicks like this because you're giving them a free opportunity to take you down. The rest of the round is just him keeping me on the ground, so you can see I convincingly lost that round, and that's really just because I wasn't using my reach advantage and I was lazy with timing my strikes, which allowed him to take me down twice. After analysing what went wrong in that first round, coming out for the second I decided that I'm going to stay at range and use the reach advantage that Max has. You can see that initially my opponent stays back because he wants me to rush in like I did last round so that he can shoot a takedown when I miss a few strikes. Instead, I stay in the middle and let him come to me, and I catch him with 1-2s when he tries to get closer to engage. And you can see I've pretty much instantly had more success once I made that minor adjustment to my approach, because he's struggling to land any strikes whatsoever. He tries to shoot some takedowns when he realises he's losing the stand-up game, but misses them completely once again because of how far I'm staying from him, and all of these unsuccessful takedowns are taxing his stamina really quickly. I knock him down a few times and end up getting the knockout pretty quickly, despite getting completely dominated in that first round. So that's the first strategy you need to use with Holloway. Stay at range and let your opponent come towards you so that you can snipe them from a distance. In the second fight I'm going to show you, I'm facing Zabit, and the big problem when facing Zabit is that he's one of the few fighters in featherweight that Holloway doesn't have a reach advantage on. Zabit is just massive. Like, I have no idea how he makes 145, he must kill himself for that weight cut, because honestly he looks like he could fight in welterweight. But the point is that I can't use the same strategy as before, so instead I decide to crowd him and pressure him with constant strikes. I'm trying to move forward as much as I can to make use of the Bulldog and Pay to Miss perks that I mentioned earlier, and I'm just generally not giving him any space to breathe, and as a result by the end of the first round I managed to score a knockdown. Another thing to note is that I'm throwing really long 4 or 5 strike combinations quite often, which is something I normally never do, but Holloway has 99 cardio, so I'm not too worried about gassing myself out, especially considering it's only a 3-round fight. Going into the second round we go back and forth a bit and he's forced to go for a takedown because he's losing the stand-up battle. Now I reverse the position with a well-timed block and knock him out with literally like 3 punches because of how much damage I've already done to his head. So to summarize, this is my second go-to strategy with Holloway. Constant pressure on the opponent, similar to how he fights in real life, and Holloway is one of the only fighters you can do this with because of that 99 cardio stat. That's it for this video. Leave a like if you found any of the information helpful. As I said earlier, this is hopefully going to be a much longer series given that you guys actually find it useful. Comment down below what other fighters you want me to cover in the future, and I'll get that done for you as quickly as possible. Thank you very much for watching.